Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand Patreon page. The Q&A is up and running. If you are new to this, it should now be streaming on your page, on the Patreon page. But you can put comments on the Patreon page, or as we found last week, what you can also do is if you click the video that's working in front of you, you'll see a little YouTube icon in the bottom right hand corner. Click that, it will take you into YouTube where you can work on the live comments, which I'm actually going to put up on the screen as well, just to give it that little United Stand feel. So how are we all doing this week? I'll tell you what, I wasn't happy with that United Stand stream tonight. It felt like it never really got going, the buffering and everything like that. It just felt, I think, such a good show at lunchtime. Fantastic show at lunchtime, and really loved the preview. I mean, I never watched shows back, and I absolutely loved it. I watched it again this afternoon. Just something about it. It just was driven by passion that we were getting from the live comments as well. Loved it, and I suppose the next show I did was always going to be a bit of a come down, but it was a bit of a come down, that show. It just didn't feel right at all. Stavros Managos has left me a couple of questions on Patreon. That is fine. I'm going to go to those anyway. And Jake Busler says, like for the British people, North Carolina is actually named after some princess or queen from England. Daughter ringing me. She knows I'm streaming. 8:30 in the UK. You're from Jake. Okay, so Mkhitaryan ruined the vibe, says Brandon Bezic. Yeah, I think I'm going to blame Mkhitaryan on that. What a clown. What an absolute clown. So, Arsenal are winning 2-1 against CSK Moscow. Ramsey and Lacazette after Moscow had scored. So, decent game going on there. Penalty to them. Yeah, okay, I'm not really interested in that. Xander's doing I must just say, Xander's doing a live watch-along for that. That's football for that game, but I was never going to watch it anyway. So, that is that. Right, so let's get onto the Patreon page and take some of your questions. Feel free to fire them in. Anything you want to discuss, we will discuss. So, let's get going. We've got some questions here. It's, what's the best Man United game you yourself have attended, Mark, says Nate Bocal. Oh, God. Bloody hell. That's a really good question. I've never been asked that one before either. I'd have to say the 1999 Champions League final now, wasn't it that? I wish it was. I wish it was. I would love to be at that game. I'd love to watch that game again. You know, if you've ever had a game that you would just love to watch again and not be told what the score was, I would love to watch that again. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable few minutes, that last few minutes of the 99 final. I'm trying to think which game I would probably say I went to that I enjoyed. I've not been that fortunate to go to many cup finals involving Manchester United. My first cup final I went to was 92 Rumbelows Cup, Forest. My first United game was 1989 quarter-final FA Cup against Forest at Old Trafford. You'll see the connection here, because being a very young lad under the age of 10, you can't really get your own train ticket to go and watch Manchester United. So my only opportunity to ever go and watch United play was if they were playing Forest. So I was actually at the game at the City Ground, Forest against United, the game that Sir Alex Ferguson probably would have got sacked if he hadn't won. They won 1-0, Mark Robbins' header. I was at that game. But the best game I went to, probably... I'm going to come back to that one. I want to see you doing fan cams. It would be nice if you switch with Flex for once. He does the watch-alongs and you do the fan cams. Maybe you can do both fan cams in US tour. Says Haddy in all well. Yeah, interesting. I'd be open to doing the fan cams, but to be honest with you, I have had threats about, you know, being around Old Trafford, so that wouldn't stop me going. But standing there with a microphone with 60,000 United fans walking past me, the people who don't like me probably are going to have a free shot, aren't they? So that's a slight concern. Sadly, I can't answer this one. From my dreams to visit Old Trafford, says Haddy, so it'd never been before. And Brian Noonan says, who will be favoured more to win the league next year, us or Liverpool? Oh, definitely is. I don't know where people are coming at that Liverpool are suddenly going to be able to win the title because they can beat Man City at their ground. What I would say about that result last night by Liverpool, it was very, very good. But how many times have we seen Manchester United go to Burnley and Burnley have had the game of their lives? Liverpool have got to do that for 35 games over a season to even be close to winning a title. So I ain't worried about them. We've got a far better chance. Angriest you've ever been after a game? Mine was Moyes lost 2-0 to Olympiacos. What an awful manager, says Cameron Whittle. I mean, off the top of my head, I have been angry a few times with United. I think the angriest I've ever been was probably Aguero goal. I was angry. Who I was angry at, I just don't know how we blew that title. And Sir Alex Ferguson was the manager then. I was just so angry that we got that City got that iconic historical moment that they'll never ever forget, like the last kick of the season to win the title. And I was just very angry about that. Thanks, Mark, for distracting me from my work. Excited for the Q&A, says Andy Zaleskis. Starting 11 for the first Premier League game next season, says Benny. Tough. Leo Orchard, are you planning many meetups in England, i.e. Manchester and London? Yes, we are. Do you see an argument that the older players we bring in can bring in mentors and leaders for the younger players to look up to? For example, if we bring in Bale, he could have Chong as his understudy and have the two rotating in no time. Yeah, there is an argument for that. And Sally Mitchell says, hi everyone. I've also got some other questions to go back to, but let's go through the live comments at the moment as well. And what have we got? Andrew Suddock says he'll come and be security for me. Yeah. Ever thought about a group Sky call for this video, says Jake Busler. Yes, I have. We have thought about that. You can do hangouts and everything. So there's loads of possibilities with this, but we're just getting started with the Patreon page. I'm really looking forward to doing the quiz. I've got that absolutely nailed down how we're going to do that now. And the only reason that the quiz hasn't been done is because of the Champions League. Because I want to do it on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, but with the Champions League on at the moment, I want to do it on a night that's going to suit everybody. And it's definitely something that will work really, really well over the summer with the transfer window and the World Cup. So really looking forward to doing that. 6-1 City at Old Trafford, says Robert Fahy. Well, that was a direct factor in why I was frustrated after that Aguero goal, because we lost that. What people seem to forget is that we lost that game on goal difference. That season we lost on goal difference, didn't we? They won it on goal difference, and if we hadn't gone gung-ho against them at Old Trafford, it probably would have been a different story. Jared Pesserman says it's some experience to see your team at Wembley. Sebastian United says, bloody mad how someone with an opinion and who puts so much effort into the United stand can get threats. Mad. Well, you know what? I do agree with you, Sebastian, on that, but also there are people out there who just... you know, it's nothing to do with Manchester United. It's just society in general, isn't it? And unfortunately, in the UK at the moment, they're just society. I mean, I watched Ricky Gervais's Humanity stand-up on Netflix at the weekend, and I think he's right in what he's saying. We're delving a bit away from football here, but I think he's right in what he said, that I think between his life growing up until about 2015 was the golden moment for society in his lifetime. Between like 1970 and 2015 there was a lot of empathy, there was a lot of manners, and then over the last 3 years with social media and everything else, people are society's starting to tip towards this, you know, not very nice society. And I think we're seeing that. I mean, there's a lot of stabbings going on in London, there's a lot of apathy towards people, there's a lot of things going on social media which I've discussed before. And I think that is that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, you know, I have had people, and other people have had it, where they've said, oh, if I ever see you at Manchester, if I ever see you at Old Trafford, I'm going to smack you in the face. Well, you know, to be honest with you, 99% of them won't, but there'll be one idiot who does it. There'll be one idiot who fancies themselves for having an argument, and you know, it won't stop me doing it. But what I'm saying is that it's always a factor, isn't it? Is anyone else watching the Masters, says Robert Fahy. No, the Ryder Cup's my limit when it comes to golf, to be honest. Stavros Manogaras says, Mark, Bleacher Report, love to quote your tweets. They are class. OFC, such a shame you're Jose in. You'd have to rewrite that for me, Stavros. I don't understand what OFC is. I'm not always up with the words. At the risk of being shunned, we've done that. Do you think Liverpool can win the UEFA Champions League, says Camilla? I'm more comfortable with Liverpool going through than Man City. But to be honest with you, neither of those situations are ideal, are they? I don't want either of them, but one of them had to go through. I would say that Liverpool won't win the Champions League. the best thing that can... The Liverpool's chances of winning the Champions League will be enhanced if they get Bayern Munich in the semi-final and Barcelona knock Real Madrid out in the other semi-final. Because I think Liverpool could beat Barcelona. I don't think Liverpool can beat Real Madrid. So Liverpool need to avoid Real Madrid to win the Champions League. Iniesta or Scholes, says Camilla. Scholes. I've said this a few times. Look, Barcelona are a very good team. Iniesta's been a world-class player. But I don't like watching Barcelona. I find them boring because... It's why I prefer Ronaldo to Messi, and I understand why people prefer Messi to Ronaldo, and I understand why people prefer Iniesta to Scholes. But football's very self-opinionated, isn't it? And I prefer Ronaldo and I prefer Scholes because Manchester United, Scholes, Ronaldo, they do a lot of different things. They can score headers, they can run past people, they can play a pass, they can score penalties, they can score tap-ins, they can do 1-2s. You get a variety with them. With Iniesta, Messi and Barcelona, it's the same methodology all the time. It's like ticky ticky ticky, pass pass pass, ticky 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 ticky, pass. There's never any 40-yard screamers. There's never ever, oh, let's just chuck a cross into the box and see what happens. It's not like that. It's very methodical, and I do find Barcelona a little bit boring to watch. Love a bit of Gervais, says Sebastian, especially The Office. Yeah. Bayern should smash Liverpool, says Michael Hubbard. I watched Bayern Munich on Tuesday night on That's Football, if anyone watched it with me. I thought Sevilla gave them a good game. I mean, Sevilla are not a bad team. What I would say about Sevilla knocking Manchester United out is that people who think, oh, it's just embarrassing because we lost to Sevilla are wrong. It's not embarrassing because we lost to Sevilla. It's the approach we went. Sevilla... If Manchester United had been 4-0 FC and carried that on all season and we played Sevilla, I still would have said before the game, Sevilla aren't a bad team. They've won the Europa League a couple of times. They're a Spanish team. They're in the top 6. They know how to pass the ball around, and you know, English teams sometimes struggle with that. So there were always going to be an obstacle, but it was one we should have hurdled. So it didn't surprise me that Sevilla did okay at home against Bayern Munich, but I think Bayern Munich just looked a little bit lazy. And I think Bayern Munich do struggle from the same thing that Man City struggled with last night and PSG struggled with as well, which is when you're the biggest club in your league by a long way and you're just coasting through games, then suddenly you come to the Champions League, you play somebody decent like PSG did with Real Madrid, like Man City did with Liverpool last night in a pressure cooker environment. You're not used to those challenges because you're not getting those challenges from your domestic league, and that becomes a problem. And I think Bayern Munich do struggle from that a little bit as well. Andrew Southwick, who might be able to... Well, no, you won't be able to because you live in America. He says, have you ever watched the American version of The Office? So I'll tell you a quick story. Everyone knows I love The Office. I love the UK Office. I absolutely love it. I've watched that. I mean, considering there's only about... Well, if you count the Christmas specials, there's 14 episodes. I must have watched them 6 or 7 times. Might be more than that. I've watched it so many times. Anyway... So my best mate said to me, you've got to watch The American Office, it's brilliant. No, can't be doing with that. No, don't want to watch it. American sitcoms always destroy British sitcoms, won't like it. Oh no, it's brilliant, it's brilliant. And he actually said to me, it's so good, I don't know which one I prefer, American or UK. I said, wash your mouth out and sit down, rubbish. Anyway, I thought, it flashed up on Virgin Media, which is my cable provider. And I thought, oh, sod it, I've got a bit of time, I'll watch it. And I watched it, and the first season really did echo the Office of the UK. And I didn't like it, but I stuck with it, and then it got better and better and better. I really liked it. I think there's 9 seasons. They took it off after 4 seasons, and I can't find it anywhere in the UK now unless I pay for it. It's not on Netflix, it's not on Amazon Prime, it's not on Virgin Media, it's nowhere. You cannot get the American Office in the UK unless you buy the box sets, which I refuse to do. Michael Hubbard, the Spurs game is, you know, I am very excited about United at the moment. The derby on Saturday, I think, as I said in the preview at lunchtime, is massively symbolic for Mourinho as to how he approaches it. But further to that, I'm massively excited about the Spurs game in the FA Cup because that's going to be hard as well. We've got a couple of really difficult fixtures. Jared Pesserman says, I watch a ton of British shows, but The American Office is one of the best sitcoms ever. Do you fear a City backlash on Saturday, or do you think they'll be there for the taking, says Robert Fahey? No, I don't think they're there for the taking. I think it's going to be a very hard game for United, but I'm excited because I'm praying that we're not going to park the bus and we're going to have a go. If we could bring back one player to help us out next season, who would you bring back and why, Brandon? I've been asked this question so many times, it's very easy for me to answer. Roy Keane. Andrew Southwick says it's on Netflix here. Yeah, it's not on the UK Netflix for some reason. And somebody did say you can bypass and get onto American Netflix by using a VPN, but I watch Netflix through my TV, so I don't know how I would do that. Camiar says Savic or Fabinho, Sandro or Alba. Sandro over Alba, and Milankovic, Savic and Fabinho are very different midfielders. One's a CDM and one's an attacking midfielder. And I think if we were only going to sign one, I'd have to say, because we've got Matic, Milankovic, Savic, because I'd want the more attacking one. Jake Busler says he'd go for Cantona. Michael Hubbard says City are still favourites. Andrew says it's Arsenal 4, Moscow 1. Well, they're through, aren't they? They're going to go through to the semi-finals then. See, Wenger's got that knack, hasn't he, of being able to just improve when it really, really matters. Michael Hubbard, how does Moyes get another job after dragging down clubs? Moyes is the biggest issue we've ever had. Jacob Cox, how many signings do you think we will make in the summer and who? And how many do you think we need to become title challenging? I think United need to spend, I think if City didn't spend anything in the summer and we spent 200 million, that would be around getting us level with them. What did you get with 200 million? 3 or 4 players. So I think we're 3 or 4 players off City. But City are going to buy somebody as well, so we're still going to be behind. These are some questions that I got asked from yesterday to ask today. Do you see an argument that, yeah, I've done that one. We've got 3 left wingers. Why is one of them not taking the initiative to convert to the right side where they should be? There would be no competition, says Jacob Busler. Well, it's down to the manager, isn't it? It's not down to the player to say, I want to be a right winger now. It's down to the manager. Susan McKerney, what is your opinion on Mason Greenwood? Have you been following his progress for just over a year and recently heard glowing reports that he's proving to be a bright young talent? He's only 16, but he's over 6 foot. We know Mourinho likes tall players. Could he possibly make the first team next season? Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about him as well, Susan. There's a lot of good young players, though, and it's very difficult to know who is going to be the next one because a year ago, McTominay would not have been mentioned. So, you know, he's as good as anybody else to predict. Gomez, Chong would still be the 2 I would think, but he's doing very, very well. He's scoring a lot of goals as well, but it's hard to predict. God, Stavros Mangoros has just asked so many questions. Let me have a look. Dembele snubbed us for Barcelona, Mbappe for PSG. If we sell Martial now, who can be sure we will be able to buy a talent like that again? Good point. And he also says Martial and Shaw are very talented. Everyone knows that. If we sell Martial for about 50 million and Shaw for 30 and buy Bale for 120 or less and Sandro for 60, we would have paid more. We would have more or less paid 100 million difference to replace 2 very talented players. It's a good point. It's a good point. If we make more money than any other club in the world, why are we bringing Pigeonhole into 200 million, says Jake? Because we've got shareholders, haven't we? We've got owners, and they want their own profit, so that it's not an open checkbook like you get at City or Chelsea used to. Griezmann's just scored, says Stavros Mangaros. I'd like to see Arsenal play Atletico Madrid. I mean, to be honest with you, Manchester United, Arsenal were laughing at us this time last year, and we had our eggs all in one basket with the Europa League, and we won it, and it got us in the Champions League. Arsenal are approaching that themselves now. They've got their eggs all in one basket for the Europa League, and they need to win the Europa League. And are they good enough to beat Atletico Madrid? I don't think so. But somebody else could knock Atletico Madrid out for them. I mean, I look at that tournament. Arsenal are 4-1 up against CSKA Moscow, so they're going to go through. Atletico Madrid are 2-0 up against Sporting Lisbon, so you'd expect them to go through. Lazio and RB Salzburg are 1-1. And RP Leipzig and Marseille. I mean, RP Leipzig are good. I've got to say, they are good. I mean, I look at their team, just if people don't realise who they've got. Keita, Naby Keita, Forsberg, and Timo Werner plays for them. So they're a good team. They're a good team, Leipzig. If you're Arsenal, you'd hope that Leipzig and Atletico Madrid get each other. I'd like to see. I think Arsenal would beat Lazio as well. I do love Serie A, but it's just not up there yet. What do I think of Ty from Arsenal Fan TV, says Camille? I know DT because he's been on the United Stand. I know Robbie very well. I know of the others, but I can't really say that I've ever spoken to them or watched them. Ty's the one who's very Wenger in, isn't he? I've heard. People seem to be undecided on Smalling. Should he leave in the summer, says Michael Hubbard. Depends if we're going to sign another centre-back. I mean, I still like Smalling as a backup, because if Bay gets injured, Smalling's the only one who's good in the air. Do you know the guys on Full-Time Devils personally? Those guys are all pretty cool, says Andrew Zalewski. Oh, somebody tell him. Let's just say they've not been particularly nice to me over the years, and I've never met them, so I can't honestly say that what they are like. But from what I've received from them on social media and what they've said about me in some of their own videos, they don't come across as the sort of person I would get on with, and that's a very political answer. But you know, until I meet somebody, I can't really give an honest answer. If we make more money, yeah, we've answered that. Will Chelsea be a threat next season, says Michael Hubbard. I think Chelsea are in a big problem next season. They will lose Hazard, they will lose Quartez, they will lose their manager. They'll get a new manager in, and it'll be a rebuild for them. And I think when you've got a rebuild like we did at United, Chelsea should basically be, their target next season will be Champions League football. So 4th or above will be a bonus for them. Do you watch any UFC, says Andrew Savick? No. Manchester United City on Saturday and WrestleMania 34 on Sunday, says Michael Hubbard. There you go. Just joined on Patreon. Love the United Stand, says Kevin O'Callaghan. Great that we've got a few newbies joining, which is great. We're going to do this every Thursday night after the United Stand, at least half an hour. So tonight will be half an hour because I've got to go and do something at 9 o'clock. But weird text. But we've got a quiz coming up. We put a couple of videos up. I'm actually going to do an exclusive Man City reaction for here. Obviously I'll do one on the YouTube, but this is going to be totally exclusive content that we put on here. Stavros Mangros says Mark's better than Full-Time Devils. Their understanding of football is poor. Mark is class. Thank you. Thank you. Andrew Southwick says Howson is the one that started the whole he's a Nottingham Forest fan. Look, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't really know where all that sort of stuff comes from. I apparently started the whole, if you remember with Howson, he got rumbled by Manchester Evening News a couple of years ago because he wanted foreign fans to come over and he was going to charge them to go on free stadium tours and dance and have a sing-song with him in the pub, and he was going to charge them a tenner. So he got into a lot of trouble for that, and he got a lot of bad publicity for that. Well, apparently that was all down to me. It was sod all to do with me. Absolutely nothing to do with me. That's not my style. So I don't know whether he's done anything or not. I don't ever want to go down those roads anymore, though. Look, there's more than enough room. Manchester United's the biggest club in the world, with the biggest support in the world. Of course there's room for 2 Manchester United fan channels. That's all I ever say. And actually, I've always said, any day of the week I would go on their video, or they could come on ours and give Manchester United fans what they want, but they refuse to do it. So you just crack on, don't you? We do what we do. No trouble, Michael. It's absolutely fantastic. Score prediction for the derby. I can't really give one. I can't really give one because there's so many factors. Will he pick his strongest team? Will Mourinho park the bus or have a go? What team will Mourinho pick? I mean, if we roll into the Etihad on Saturday night and Fellaini walks on the pitch, then I will say Man City are going to win 3-0. If we go into that game with Herrera in the midfield and we press them, I could say, you know what? Potluck, anything's possible. It's so hard. It's so hard to predict. Jake Busler, is it taboo to like more than one football team? I started as a Marseille fan in the 80s and moved to a United fan when Cantona moved over. I'm still a Marseille fan, but United is in my blood. No, I mean, it's really difficult. Jared Pesserman says 1-1. Sebastian United says 2-2 for the derby. Will Pep rest his main players, says Camiar? I don't know. 3-1 keeps popping in my head when I'm daydreaming, says Jake Busler. And Stavros Mangros says, Mark, if you find the time, please check Leon's Ndombele. He's the best thing when it comes to CDM. And Michael Hubbard says, Mark, can Flex get regulars on the fan cams? It is, I mean, I'll use you lot as a soundboard. Do you think that is a good idea for the fan cams to start getting regulars on? Is that, I mean, what? Look, I want to use this. I said this before, it's an exclusive United Stand members club, and I will use it as a sounding board. So whilst I'm answering that question that Jake said, I'll throw you lot a question. In relation to the fan cams, it's abundantly clear to me that when we load something up normally at 8 o'clock or a preview, we get around 20-30,000 viewers. A fan cam gets between 5 and 10. So why is the vast majority of the United Stand community that will watch every video at 8 o'clock, why are they then not taking the time to watch a 5-minute fan cam? Is it because they're boring? Is it because the style of questioning is not good? Is it because the people we're interviewing are not good? Do you want to see regulars? Would that make you watch it more? Because I know a lot of people go and watch Arsenal Fan TV and they don't support Arsenal, but it's because they want to see certain characters reacting. In relation to Jake's question, I'm old enough that I supported teams in the 80s, i.e. Manchester United. The first club I ever supported, I think, was Tottenham. I was very, very young. I think they were in the FA Cup final or something ridiculous like that. But this football was very different when we were growing up. And it's, I really don't have a problem with people who support a couple of clubs, or at a certain age they change. I think if you're in your 20s and you change your club, there's probably an issue with that. But if you're a kid and you change your club, I don't think there's any issue with that. Andrew Southwick says, Mark, the fan cams don't actually pop up as a notification for some reason. Sly Ninja Gaming, Full-Time Devils feels too much like a company than a fan channel. Well, it is. It's run by a TV company, or it used to be, which is probably why it feels like that. But what I like is that what they do is very different to what we do. I'd be more concerned if they basically did everything that we did. Like they had a live show with live comments and, you know, they were a little bit raw like we are. I mean, we're just an independent fan channel. That's what we've always been. And we're very much about everybody's opinion. Whereas I think they try to go for production value and they try to focus on the opinions of their pundits or guests or whatever like that. So I like that. I like that there are two contrasts. But they are very professional because they've got the facilities to do it. You should get Statman Dave on the show. He's pretty good at analysing the game, says Andrew Zalewski. I don't think he would come on. So Mark, the fan cams don't, yeah, we've done that. Most times I don't get notification when it comes to the fan cams if they are uploaded close to each other, says Stavros Mangaras. Okay, that's a good point. Regulars work so much better because people grow to learn the opinions and want to hear some consistency. I like the fellow with the calm voice, says Jared Pesserman. Was that Adrian who was on the other night on the Skype show? I think a lot of people like to just watching you, so if you're not the one talking, then they don't want to watch, says Sly Ninja Gaming. Well, thank you very much. I tell you what I do need to do as well, because we've started doing the live show where you lot call in. People have said, "Oh, I want your 5 or 10 minute match reaction back," which I'm not doing. So I think what I need to do as well is, after we've done the call in, is actually do another video of my match reaction and maybe throw it up a little bit later in the evening, because I'm not really reacting, am I? I'm sort of summarising, then I'm taking calls, and my reaction used to do, you know, quite well. I don't really think I'm giving that justice anymore. I don't know. I think to have regulars on would be really good. It takes time, I say. The fan cams haven't been going that long, so just keep in them, making them, they will grow. Very good point, guys. Sebastian. United need to go for the juggler against City. They will be expecting us to park the bus. If we sit back, then we're just inviting them to play. Sadly, Liverpool showed us how to beat them. There's a positive to what Liverpool did, though, isn't there? Because if Mourinho parks the bus, he'll get slated by the press, by the fans, by everybody that, you know, Klopp has shown him how to do it, and he still decides to be negative. Andrew Savick, I personally like having a lot of different opinion. I think it's good to have regulars, but I like that they aren't on every week personally. And Michael Hubbard says, don't overwork yourself. Mark, don't try to avoid the question. You have to check Leon's Ndombele. You will be amazed. Okay. Leo Orchard says it's buffering. I don't know why it's buffering tonight. It's is it buffering for anybody else? It's a little bit odd. Robert Fahy, how long will the quiz go on for? I think the quiz will probably be around half an hour. Probably be looking at about 12 question round, and what I'd do is I'll ask a question, and then the first person in the live comments to get it right gets a point. I'll mark their name with a point, and then the person with the most points at the end wins. Let's have a look if we've got any more questions on the Patreon page. I have to cater for both. Did you think about the favourite game you've been to? I would probably say the favourite game I've been to was Liverpool United FA Cup Final '96. I was trying to think if there was anything better than that, but I haven't actually been to many United finals, and I've certainly not been there when they've well, you know, a couple of times when they've been crowned champions, but they're never great games. So you're lucky if you catch one, really. The one I would like to have been at as well would have been the FA Cup semi-final against Aston Villa. I would have loved to have seen that with Giggs' goal. Anyway, I've got to shoot because it's gone 9 o'clock, but thanks everybody for watching. I'm really enjoying doing these little Q&As. They're very nice and relaxed, so if you are enjoying it, that's great. Obviously, we're still putting up a couple of videos for you per week, which will be like pre-record videos. I'll keep checking the notice board on Patreon because we do put something up every day, you know, whether it's a topic or something like that, and tell you what we're up to. But for the moment, the live stream will be on a Thursday after the 8 o'clock show on the United Stand at 8:30. And we'll always do half an hour at least. Sometimes, like last week, we did up to an hour. So keep getting involved with it, keep spreading the word. I mean, I quite like the fact that it's a nice little exclusive club, but I think we've got room for a few more yet. So keep getting involved. Thanks for watching. And tomorrow we are live at 2 o'clock UK time, straight after Jose's press conference, and 8 o'clock tomorrow night, and then it's Saturday. Can't wait. I'm really excited about it. Somebody said to me today, why are you so excited about it? Sebastian United, you've just reminded me about the bloody iPhone. Oh, I need to get that. I'll do that 2 o'clock tomorrow, and I'll star it. It's absolutely essential that that was meant to be given out today. So I'm on it. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon.